Hello and welcome to this Warcraft replay. This is going to be the first of a best of 3 series. This is going to be from the Phoenix Cup, and no, I am not casting the tournament. I am just casting this series for the matchup. I did promise you guys, or at least say at the end of my previous series, that I was gonna look for an undead mirror and cast it, and I have managed to find one that was recent, and yeah, it was from the Phoenix Cup. So anyway, introductions of the players. First I will say that the map is on Ancient Isles, so relatively small map. Nothing in particular when it concerns undead players, so yeah, nothing that significant to mention about. So yeah, either way, the players. We have WFZ spawning in as the blue undead player in the bottom right. Now, I guess WFZ is one of those players that has acronyms for their names, or at least just letters for their names. Not sure if WFZ actually stands for anything, but you know, I've been really wanting to know, and yeah, just unable to figure it out, or at least be told or something like that. So yep, if you know, then comment, because I would really like to know. I know everyone else but WFZ. WFZ is gonna go for the Death Knight. Gosh, it's been so long since I've casted undead, I forget a couple of things. His opponent is going to be Lucifer, otherwise known as Lucifer. I think, hopefully that's right, because it says on the website that it is Lucifer, so let's, hold it to that. Death Knight for him, and I mean, Lucifer is probably one of the very few Korean undead players nowadays. I'm not entirely sure what he was doing this past year. I think he was, what is it? I think he actually was part of the army during this past year or so, mainly because of Korean law. Maybe you guys can find it out. I don't know too much about it since I've actually moved away from Korea, so there's that. But anyway, both players are going for a very similar playstyle, harassing the gold mine with skeletal minions, but it does look like that WFZ is getting much more success out of this compared to Lucifer. I mean, as you can see, WFZ's Death Knight is nowhere near as hurt as Lucifer's Death Knight, and of course he's probably killed more acolytes, I think. He's definitely killed more acolytes, but that's only due to the fact that Lucifer had an extra acolyte before, just because he was scouting, and it looks like Lucifer will lose that one acolyte. Another. So in total, 3 acolytes has been lost for Lucifer. Meanwhile, only 1 for WFZ, and I mean, it's kind of delayed WFZ his Halls of the Dead, but in comparison to Lucifer, it's much more earlier than Lucifer's, I would say, since Lucifer is still kind of preoccupied and trying to repopulate his acolytes. So yep, there we go with the Halls of the Dead. He's gonna be really behind. I guess a good half a minute or so. Not really good at estimating those kind of timings, but should be somewhere around that. Experience comparison as well. WFZ does have the lead thanks to killing obviously more than Lucifer has, but Lucifer is trying to catch up. Not saying that he will, since I mean WFZ's clearing out the exact same camp. So yeah, no level 2 for the Death Knight. Meanwhile, WFZ will most likely reach that level 2 benchmark. So early graveyards for both players. It was a Tomb of Relics graveyard order, so not heavily on Crypt Fiends like right before Halls of the Dead. In fact, it was just Crypt Fiends after Halls of the Dead. So both to have, I guess, a steady supply of economy as well as a strong early to mid game. Hell, it could even just be a late game as well. Crypt Fiends are generally not transitioned out of, so there's that. But you know, the downside is that you will have very few Crypt Fiends if you go that order compared to like Graveyard first. But if you go Graveyard first, then you're either behind in tech or just behind in income or something like that. Anyway, WFZ is harassing once again. Lucifer is here to defend, which is kind of nice because he can toss out those death coils to heal up those acolytes. But at the same time, it is kind of kind of hurting Lucifer's gold mining, because I mean, every time you take an acolyte out of the gold mine, it's just reduced mining rates. So yeah, WFZ should have mined more gold compared to Lucifer. Right now we are at a 300 gold difference, or deficit. I'll say difference. But anyway, can WFZ sustain this attack? I mean, he's got no more charges of his rod necromancy, so he will not be able to bring out any more skeletons. He's gonna have to use those two, and they might even pick up an acolyte, but even if they did, it's not gonna matter too much since the Halls of the Dead is completed. So yeah, there's that. Black Citadel instantly gone for WFZ. He has nearly completed his slaughterhouse. He's also getting a Lich second as well. Pretty standard. I would imagine that Lucifer is going to go the exact same thing, which he is. But honestly, WFZ's done a really nice job in making sure Lucifer is like really behind compared to him. So level 2 Death Knight, level 2 Death Knight. Lucifer does have a little more experience, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a difference. Rod of Necromancy is on Lucifer's Death Knight, so I guess that's the benefits of defending at your base. But yeah, there is still that problem of being a little behind. I mean, the Slaughterhouse has yet to be placed down for Lucifer. Crypt Fiend, another Crypt Fiend is going to be popped out. That is going to make Crypt Fiend number 4. Meanwhile, I mean, WFZ already has about 4 Crypt Fiends out, so I mean, no problems right there. First Obsidian Statue is also out for WFZ, and things are looking good for him. 36 versus about 28, so that is mainly due to the fact that the Lich is out for WFZ, as well as the statue compared to Lucifer, who's just started his Lich. No sign of a slaughterhouse either. That might be a bit of a problem. Lucifer might have very late obsidian statues coming out. I mean, I really think he should get those guys out. Otherwise, Lucifer is looking to maybe just focus on Crypt Fiends. Okay, third hero into the mix for WFZ. It is going to be a Dark Ranger. I would say a pretty standard third hero selection for an undead player. Obviously, or at least you guys should know my viewpoint on the Dark Ranger in anything other than undead. Particularly Night Elf players picking up Dark Rangers. I really don't like that, because the games I've watched have been a majority of losses on the Night Elf side, because Dark Ranger is not as effective as a first hero compared to others, and yet people still like to play her for some reason. But on the undead side, it's a little more better. Just because of the chemistry with the death coils from the Death Knight. I think that's the only chemistry at all for the undead. However, Dark Ranger is mainly just there for the countering the enemy heroes. It's not necessarily to what is it, bond and wombo with your ally heroes. No, it's just to like silence. Silence is basically the only special feature of the Dark Ranger, in my honest opinion. And of course, if she gets level 2 and any more ability skills, she will put it into Dark Arrow or Black Arrow, whatever it's called, and summon little skeletal minions for the Lich or the Death Knight to sacrifice. Alright, Crypt nearly destroyed. This is really vital for Lucifer to keep alive, because I mean, he doesn't have any statues up, but at the same time statues aren't gonna win the fight, I honestly think. We do have a sword house over here. I'm not sure if I actually overlooked that, but I mean, it's there. And if I did overlook that, then I do apologize. Maybe that's gonna be put in the comments and I'm gonna be ridiculed very, very badly. There we go with a good silence on all of those 3 heroes, preventing any death coils from healing the Lich, and Lucifer will be able to kill the Lich of WFZ. However, the Ankh reincarnation that was picked up from the top red creep camp has now been consumed by the Lich. It was a very good attempt by Lucifer, honestly, to burst down the Lich of WFZ, and I honestly thought that silence was very, very long, but I'm surprised that it actually lasted that long. What I'm also surprised about is that WFZ is choosing to back off. Very interesting, because I would imagine it's a huge supply difference. 48 versus 35. I mean, Lucifer barely had any Crypt Fiends out, and WFZ did, but he chose to retreat. I mean, it maybe could have been that Lucifer's hero control is a little better, but at the same time, I mean, you have such a huge army, I can't imagine you not losing that fight. I mean, there is always the home court advantage, especially for undead players, since the main town hall, which is the Black Citadel, can actually attack back. It doesn't attack back all that great, but it still does some damage. Alright, here we go. Quick burst of damage with the Frost Nova, killing a single Crypt Fiend, and that will be that. Level 3, level 2, level 2 versus level 3, level 2, I'm imagining. Yeah, it is basically the same for both sides. I would say in terms of experience, WFZ is a little ahead. I mean, his Dark Ranger is nearly going to hit level 3, as well as maybe his Lich. Yep. Red Drake is going to get cleared out on the bottom left corner. Meanwhile, Lucifer is looking to clear out his own Drake at the top right. So, yep. What item was it? It was Booster Coil for Loss, I believe it was, that was picked up, and that will be placed on the Ranger. She'll benefit from additional attack. Meanwhile, Lionhorn of the Stormwind has been picked up for the Death Knight of Lucifer. That is going to be +1 armor to all nearby units, but it does look like Lucifer's going to possibly sell that item, because, I mean, especially when you're fighting undead, armor is maybe not that important. Is Lucifer going to keep it, or is he going to sell it? I don't know, but maybe he's keeping the armor for the Crypt Fiends. I was mainly thinking about the Nova Coils from both of the Death Knight and the Lich. So yeah, he's probably just gonna keep it for the Crypt Fiends. I mean, it's 1 point in armor. I'm not sure if that's that big of a deal. I don't know the math on the mitigation of the armor. I think Crota did it a very long time ago, but I can't remember at all. Interesting addition to WFZ's composition. Definitely this is no strange playstyle, I guess. Temple of the Damned into Master Trained Banshees for the spell immunity shield, although they don't need Master's training because Master ability is Possession, but at the same time I guess Possession could pose a useful ability, but the anti-magic shell is basically there to prevent the Nova Coil combo being tossed out from the Death Knight and Lich. definitely a very useful ability to have, especially if you're going to focus on rather small numbers of units in your army, I guess. I mean, we're at 50 for WFZ. He's actually going to choose to go over. He's going to go 59 food supply. He is making more abominations and crypt fiends. Meanwhile, Lucifer looks like he's going to finally go for an attack. He has an A-bomb for himself. He has two A-bombs as well, in fact. So that's quite a bit of a tanky front line there. 1-0 on his crypt fiends. Meanwhile, WFZ is 2-0 on his crypt fiends. Will that be enough? Who knows? Maybe the reinforcements from WFZ might be able to come in time. But it looks like Lucifer is actually managing to kill quite a number of crypt fiends. Meanwhile, WFZ is a little preoccupied in trying to deal with abominations, but at least both of them have been taken out. Kind of a late death coil from Lucifer right there. He is going to lose a crypt fiend. Meanwhile, oh nice, curse is going to be used on Lucifer's army. That is rather interesting ability actually, because that is another ability that the Banshee can autocast. Basically, it just gives a debuff to enemy units, and they will have a chance of missing. That's actually it's actually proving to be very, very useful. And Lucifer is looking to, I guess, retreat because he's received such a bad end of the fight. And there is the particles that I will be following, and it hits the Lich. So yeah, kind of reckless I think from Lucifer. I mean, I think he definitely was at a disadvantage in terms of supply. I mean, WFZ built another ziggurat, so he's going to go at least 70. But yeah, that was kind of reckless. I mean, he's down in upgrades as well. Doesn't look like he's going to go for any more upgrades because he is going to be prioritizing on remaking his army. He is going to dust to see the sentry ward. I wonder why he didn't do that sooner. But anyway, Lucifer, interestingly enough, instead of going Banshees, he's going to go more in the destroyer route. He's going to go more than 2 statues, so he will be focusing on that destroyer, the number of destroyers he has in the sky. So the destroyer form is up and available for those statues. And this has got to be a point where Lucifer needs to catch up in supply, because yep, there goes the 7th ziggurat. So I mean, WFZ can have up to an 80 supply army. That's going to be pretty much late game scenario, I guess. But there we go. WFZ is going to be on the move. He is actually 3-0 on his upgrades for his crypt fiends, so that is actually an amazing job for WFZ. Although 10 food supply is actually committed to 12 food supply is committed to those Banshees. Hopefully they will make this work, because I honestly think that the Banshees really made it work in the previous fight with the curse, and I mean, WFZ has so many Banshees. He has just, I guess, I was gonna say bliss, but that's kind of ironic, but he has shielded his entire army. And of course he has mana in the reserves to cast enough curses, I guess. So army supply 55 versus 76, and here we go. WFZ is going to start this battle. Meanwhile, Lucifer is not quite there yet. He is probably going to go in after his like one and only abomination. We're going to have more destroyers actually popping out for him. Meanwhile, I mean, the shield actually lasts quite a bit. I think it lasts about 45 seconds, I would say. I don't remember exactly. Maybe a minute, who knows. Okay, the first abomination is out, and yep, Lucifer is going to start attacking. The anti-magic shell is eating, I guess, most of the orbs of destruction. I mean, even though it's chaos damage, it still absorbs some of the damage, I think. Anyway, level 3 has been gained on the Lich for Lucifer. Meanwhile, WC3 has already been level 3. Invulnerability Potion is not going to be used actually. Lucifer was able to take advantage of that and burst down the Lich. WFZ is going to retreat, and that was rather surprising. Huh. Lucifer's made a really good decision. Like after he saw those Banshees. Destroyers is like really good against those guys, because even if Curse has been spread like a plague all around Lucifer's army, Destroyers can just devour the magic, and they can get mana, and then it's just fueled. It's like perfect. I'm not sure if they can actually devour the anti-magic shell. Maybe I should try that, or just, you know, rely on you guys in the comment section. But it looks like WC got his own destroyers, and oh wow. Well, if you, I guess, researched web, then destroyers would most likely not be a problem. The Dark Ranger has been taken down for Lucifer as well as the Death Knight, and that is going to be GG from Lucifer, and that will be game for WFZ. Damn. I honestly thought that Lucifer might have been able to bring it back, but it was just good decision making after good decision making from both players. And yeah, great game 1, I think. And I will see you guys again in game 2. I will talk about game 1 and my thoughts in the next video. Take care.